have to have to get this out. I'm trying to wake myself up right now. It's very early right now, and I just got back in town, so excuse how my voice is right now. I need to get some green tea. Um, I just Holy Spirit just been telling me to start sharing my dreams. Okay, so I I decided, okay, let me, even if I don't make, I don't understand what it's about. Holy Spirit, allow me to get this video out without me stumbling. Okay, God bless you guys. Um, okay, so I wrote a few things down because I tend to forget a lot of my dreams very early on after me waking up. So I just start jotting down a lot of notes, and here it is. It says, I woke up from a dream rebuking it. Last thing I heard in that dream, I do remember. I heard May 19th, and I was just like, huh, May 19th, May 19th. And then I was just like, oh, that's my grandmother's birthday. I don't think it has any significance with this dream. But in the dream, there was a lot of cake eating. I don't practice birthdays today in real lifetime, but in the dream, for whatever reason, it was like a lot of people around, like in this big table setting around the room, and there was like cake everywhere, and they were just getting up, gobbling this cake down, like all different colors, all different types, all different tastes of cakes. And I was just like, in my dream, I was kind of disgusted because I was just like, the appearance in the natural eye to them, it looked like it was delicious, it was good, but for some reason, I knew that the cake was dirty and it was mishandled how it was being made. It was even some cakes were dropped and it wasn't like properly uh, prepared when they made them, but the appearance looked good, and all these people were of color that were eating it, and I was just like, listen, you guys are, eating this unclean food, and I was thinking to myself, um, I'm not gonna touch it, and I don't even know why I'm even looking at it. It's gross. Fast forward to someone, I don't know this person in my dream. I never really saw the face, but I knew that it wasn't somebody I recognized. They were like, eat the cake. Go ahead and get your slice. It's only one left, or something like that. It's getting real vague to me, but I remember that part of the dream. The lady was like, just get you a piece of cake. So I guess I just did it just to stop, for her to stop asking me for some cake. So I went and grabbed the cake and I sat down. And even when I did that, I was just like, why am I why do I have this cake? I'm not going to eat it. Okay, so the dream switched over to it was mostly men in a dream. I wrote that down. It was a room full of African Americans in a dream, and they were eating sweets. In my mind, I was just I was judging everyone like, why is everyone eating this unhealthy food? It's trash. Um, Then what went on next was the effect that it had on some. I saw the effect that it had on some, and how I knew that the cake was dirty. I already said that, and it was mishandled. I already said that. So I ended up grabbing a piece. I already said that. I never ate it. Okay. Okay. So I said everything on that part. So when I woke up, what I started getting out of that was, well, from what I've gathered, growing up in the churches, you don't eat in your dreams because it's connected to witchcraft. I mean, someone is trying to put witchcraft on you. So I got up out of my dream rebuking it, and I was just like, so why was so many people in this room eating this cake? And I said, duh, I need to do a video. I need to warn people that eating in your dreams is witchcraft, and there was a bunch of black people in this room eating this cake. So I said, let me get up and make this video real fast because I will forget what was going on in it. So I just wanted to go ahead and just say this. We have to start being mindful in the times that we're in. The eating in the dream represents witchcraft. There's a whole lot of that going on. I've witnessed it in every aspect of my life. I've had to deal with it. and it's time to start praying over our families. I was watching the video from, y'all can go look it up, this minister from Thug Ministries. I'll put his link in the bio. I honestly don't remember right offhand, but I was watching the video of this ex gang member, and he was saying that a lot of the grandmothers, and you can go do your own due diligence, do your own research, take it as you want to take it. A lot of grandmothers were involved in witchcraft when they were alive, and a lot of them still are, and they pass it down to the generations of cousins and sisters and brothers and everybody else, aunties that's involved in witchcraft. And we don't want to believe that in our own families that is going on. And the more God isolated me, the more I had to just stop and wake up and get out of denial that, yeah. And then there was other dreams that I had that I did not post, but I prayed about them, and I saw some of my family members' faces. I saw some friends' faces, friends in quotations, faces that were obviously involved based on what I was seeing in my dream. So with that being said, that's a whole nother video actually, but I just wanted to I'm going to leave that link in the bio about the guy that was talking about the witchcraft, and that's why so much black on black violence in the communities, and that makes so much sense to me. How is that tied together with my dream? Eating in a dream, witchcraft. Okay, I'm not articulating this perfectly because I just woke up. Like I said, I just got back in town last night, but it's all good. I'm going to get this dream out. We'll do my due diligence because I was getting anxious, feeling very anxious before so I said, let me just press record. Whatever comes out my mouth, comes out my mouth. So Thug Ministry talks about he has a lot, it's called Thug Ministries because he does a lot of prison ministry. He does a lot of men's ministries where there's men that get delivered and healed and set free from whatever demonic entity that's taken over them. They give their testimonies on there about how they came out of gang life, prison, out of whatever darkness they were in, right? And like I said, this one gentleman gave his testimony about how so many women in our culture are doing witchcraft, and they were encouraged a lot of the violence, a lot of the activity that was happening, a lot of the killing and stuff, and they were just like, make sure you go out there and get your revenge type talk. So it was real crazy when I first heard it, but after I heard it again, because I rewatched the video just recently because I saw it a few years back, and then I rewatched it again, it gave me the same effect. I was just like, wow, blown away, like how, but it's possible. Going back all the way back to our roots, Africa is a big thing. Haiti is a big thing. Jamaica is a thing. Like, it's a whole lot of that going on in our ancestors. That's why you have a lot of people practicing ancestor worship and all this different stuff now. And it's crazy. Everybody doing everything but the Lord Yeshua, unfortunately. But we're going to get back there soon in the name of Yeshua. Amen. But a lot of this crime in our zip codes, we need to start praying over our children, our zip codes. We need to start praying over our our families, our loved ones, because it's all rooted in deep, dark witchcraft. And I just wanted to say that I don't care what tries to, I cover the blood of Yeshua. I cover all backlash, and I pray over this video. I pray over the listeners. I pray over the message that I'm trying to convey. I just had to do my due diligence. I had a dream. I just woke up out of a dream for those that are just tuning in, and I wanted to just say what I had to say because I quickly forget about my dreams. And that's just what I wanted to say. Start praying over your zip codes. I'll even give you a quick, what do you call it? Excuse this mess on this ground. I threw this bottle down. But I'll give y'all a quick example. When I moved out of Orlando, right? The same neighborhood that we grew up in, we were able to play outside. There was no shooting. There was no, you know, running the house because drive-bys was going on. There was none of that. We played in the house we played outside because we couldn't run in and out the house. We played outside until the street lights came on and we knew to be marching to that front door or we was going to get looked for. So we were always told to, you know, make sure you back inside the house. Okay, so make it back to the house. We we um we never had an issue outside of like if kids getting into it or whatever. Um, Fast forward to current time. This was back in the early '90s. Okay, when we were playing in this neighborhood as kids. Fast forward to the 2000s and up into now. The same zip code. Matter of fact, I'm not Hoffman. Okay, so I'll just say the name of it. Americana Boulevard. If you're from Orlando, you know. If you've been to Orlando, you know. Americana Boulevard, um, uh, Holden. What else? What's the name of those areas over there? It's the zip code. I don't. A 32839 zip code. Just look up all that over there. Millennium Mall area. They just got this little fancy little place over there, but right across the road, they don't want to talk about it, but right across the road from all this fancy mall and shopping and all that stuff, where all the millionaire basketball players and people with money go over there and spend their money, but directly across the street is crime. And not to talk about anybody because I love people. My nephews are half Haitian, but Haitians took over that area, and when I tell you, every single day I used to go over there to visit my sister and my nephews, it was always a body over there. The Holy Spirit kept telling me to stop going to visit, and I didn't listen right away. I just kept going because I wanted to see my family, and I knew I was moving, so I just kept, just kept going over there or whatever. So I was telling myself, look, all right, eventually you're going to have to stop going over there because there's something else going on that you're obviously not um, connecting the dots. And then every single time, I kid you not, I would go over there, like right in the complex where we had to drive. There was a teenager that had just lost his life, and I just was like, I felt it when I drove up to the complex. I was just like, what happened over here? And sure enough, a boy was chased down and got shot. And I was just like, it's starting to be every single day. This is the same neighborhood that we grew up in, the same neighborhood that we played outside all day in, rode our bikes, got in trouble with our neighborhood little frenemies and kids that we used to do prank calls with, and all kind of troubles that kids would do when they was younger. Same neighborhood. And some of those kids I ran, well, one of the kids I ran into at a gas station in another neighborhood, and he just started crying and was just like, "Yeah, they got my brother. They got my brother. They killed my brother." And I was just like, "What has this neighborhood come to?" And then another situation where these two brothers, um, I almost said their name, but I'm covering them right now in the blood juice, whatever's going on with them. I pray they still living, and I pray they turn their lives around. But they were strung out on drugs at a early age. You ever wonder what happened to your classmates or schoolmates or whatever, or people that you grew up around in the neighborhood, and they if, just like crazy stuff. But I don't know how that happened, but both of them just ended up touching drugs, and they were out on the streets, just out bad. And that's a whole nother story as well, because I have my own personal testament of that as well. But I just wanted to just tell everybody just to start praying over your zip codes. Witchcraft is real. I don't care if you think it's cool. I don't think that you against what I'm saying. I don't really have nothing to do with your feelings on that. I just know that the dream that I had, and it was a lot of more details, but I can't understand my chicken scratch right now because I wrote it down so fast. But I just wanted to give that little example of what I was talking about as far as the witchcraft in neighborhoods and the crimes and stuff, and how it just took over that neighborhood because a lot of people from Haiti started. And like, don't come at me. Like I said, I have family members that are Haitian. I have my nephews, and they are half Haitian. But when that neighborhood was taken over by that culture, and even it was Mexicans and stuff over there too, it just started, the crime rate went skyrocketed. It just, every every time, I tell you, every single weekend, it was like, get off from work and school, and I would just go see if I wasn't linking up with my sister was linking up with me, and I would go over there just to say, hey, I want to see my nephews or whatever. We would link up and we would leave that area. But every single time she would open her mouth and give me a different story about what happened over there. Um, a man was a young man, and they were always young. He got shot, and you can do your own research on these shootings. A lot of the stuff unfortunately don't even make the news. But they were this man was messing with another woman that belonged to another man, and he just shot him dead right in the and on his back porch. So um, I think I'm overwhelmed about talking about that, so I'm going to leave that subject alone. But I do want to say that dream taught, if I had to correlate the two with my dream and all that stuff that came back to me, pray over your zip codes, pray over your family, pray like never before, because that's the time that we're in. I can't stress that enough. And my dream did switch out to another scene, and I was grabbing weapons, and the people that I was with were grabbing weapons and locking doors. So all I gotta say is, and it could have happened too, because let me back up a little bit. It could have dream could have transpired as well, because I had just heard a video, and I couldn't take it. I turned it off because I was a little overwhelmed. But they were talking about martial law in certain areas. Now God moved me and my family out of the city where we were actually out of Orlando already, but we were living on the outskirts. Like I was living in the Longwood area. Wasn't too much better, honestly. It was just more so like you could see the racism from the people that had deep seated roots in that area. But I just kind of like was like, whatever, living my life. I'm covered by the blood everywhere I go. So I mean, it was better than Orlando, but it was still all the same. You could just leave it there. So we were moved, and I say move. We were moved because the Holy Spirit leads me, and I was every door that I tried to go through after I decided not to re-sign my lease where I was. Oh man, so many memories just flooded back about that place too. But I'm not gonna talk about that right now. I just know that everywhere I turned, it was witchcraft. I tell you the truth. I had astral projection happen to me in that apartment. But let me say that's gonna be another video. Anyway, so he moved me out of there. Beautiful place though. It was a very beautiful complex. But you know what? It was time to go. So I never re-signed my lease, and all kind of hell broke loose when I decided not to re-sign my lease. But I was just like, whatever. Got out of there, and then I went on my property out here. Actually, I'm out here on my property, and it's not to say that I'm just like everything's been gravy. It hasn't, but I've been placed in the will of God and where He wants me to be, because not only did He bring me out here, He gave me an assignment out here. So I even have to pray over this because is when I tell you it seemed like most witches hide in the woods. I it's I got to do a whole video on every zip code that I've been in concerning it, and I'm gonna talk about it more because I feel like regardless if I keep my mouth shut or I don't, I'm gonna get talk. But the Lord got my back, so I want to just close this up because like I said, I just woken up and I need to go get some tea. I need to go get myself together. I need a shower. If I had the money, I would buy all my people some land. I tell you the truth. When I get the money in my hands, it's not if, but I do believe God is doing bigger things when it comes to what He wants me to do as far as this ministry that He placed me with. Like I said, pray for your zip codes, pray for your family. If I could do this video over when I'm fully awake, I would definitely say the same thing, and I would add to. But let me just go over my notes real quick and make sure I didn't leave anything out. Yep, just basically everybody eating unclean food and not thinking twice about it. And I was just like, in my dream, I was so annoyed and aggravated. Like, once these people wake up, they eating nasty food. They eating stuff that they're not supposed to eat. And like, for whatever reason, I heard May 19th. In my dream, I heard May 19th right before I woke up. Like I said, the only significance in reality is my grandmother's birthday. Other than that, I don't know why I heard May 19th. So mark that on your calendars, if you will, your mental, and just stay prayed up. But I do want to add one more thing because I didn't want to make this video long. I never want to make my videos long. I just had to wake up and tell y'all that dream. Go back and replay it if you will. But this dream was really, this dream had me up, frightened. Okay, I'm gonna talk about it real quick and I'm gonna let it go. And this is why I share my dreams, because if you don't pray over them like you're supposed to, these things can happen in reality. So I will. You're right.
Yes.
Okay, give me like 2 minutes. I'm gonna get off. Okay, so this dream, I was at a store. It's real quick, 2 minute dream. I was at a store, and I was telling my son to put up the cart because that's what they usually do when I put all the food in the cart. So as we were getting ready to put the basket in the store, he got real frightened and he just turned to me. He was just like, I don't want to do it. And I was just like, what's the problem? You just putting the cart up. So then when I went in there, I said, here, I'll do it. And I just went to go put the cart up. And I saw shortly after that why he was looking like that. And when I looked up at the lady that he saw, because I just knew in my dream that's who scared him, she had this real evil look in her eyes. And I was just like, oh. And she didn't move away. She didn't flinch. She didn't blink. It was just real. Just think about the most evil eye you ever seen. And it like, you know, like she was looking through us, like I want to kill you with my eyes type of situation. So I was just like, oh, okay. And I turned around and I went to say to my son, oh, I see why you were frightened. But as I turned around, he had disappeared and it turned into like a full crowd of people, like a full shopping mall. But before initially it wasn't even anyone there. It was just us. And then it turned from when I turned around, it was like a full sea of people. And then I'm calling my son, calling, and he was nowhere to be found. So I woke up out of my dream frightened because I lost him. So that bothered me, and I had to rebuke that dream. And I wasn't going to initially share this, but I have a point to make. Fast forward to a couple of days later, in real lifetime now, this is real life. We were out in the garden working on some stuff. It was hot, so I was just like, my buddy that helps me out here, he was like, I'm going to go run to the store to get some drinks. And two of the kids wanted to jump in the car, and I was like, yeah, I trust them. Go ahead, no big deal. I know they're coming right back. I didn't have a problem with that, but for some reason my spirit was bothered, and I was just like, why am I bothered all of a sudden? Um, but I was just like, it's hot, we ready to go. Let's just let them, cool off in the car while we finish up. So get, um, they came back. Nothing was said. Nothing was done. A couple days later, they went out. The friend went out of town. Buddy went out of town. So nothing was ever talked about. But then just yesterday, while we were out in another county, well, the conversation came up about the martial law stuff, and then it just turned into a racial conversation, and then we were just bouncing off different topics, and then that's when we were talking about what happened at the store. So they told me, and this is not my dream anymore. This is what actually happened. So he was just like, oh yeah, this lady, the cashier worker, she was just like giving your kid a real evil glare. He's white now, we're not. And my friend was like, yeah, I wasn't gonna let anything happen to them. You know that. But I said, yeah, but you knew I would have been down that highway, you going pushing 100. You know this, and the cops would have just had to follow me down there. And he's like, yeah, she just giving him a nasty look, and they wasn't trying to say it to stir anything up. It was just a conversation we were having that led up to that. And I was like, dang. So then that's when I shared my dream with him. I said, I had just had a dream about this lady scaring my son because she gave him a real evil, nasty glare. And then I went and I just said, you know what, let me take the cart from you. And I took the cart in. And that's when I saw her with that same evil look in her face, white lady. And I was just like, why? And then I left and I just kind of smirked it off, laughed, and, turned around and was like, I see why you were scared. And then my son disappeared into the crowd. So I told, my daughter to keep a close eye on him. Don't let him out of your sight, which led me up to another thing that happened in real life right before we left out of the Orlando area, where we were in Seminole County, which is outskirts of Orlando. We were at a Wawa that we go to every single day, every day. And the coworkers would stop and talk to me. We would small talk while I get my coffee right before I take my kids to school, or sometimes it'll be after I take them to school. They went to a little private school right up the street. Sometimes they rode their bike with the little neighborhood kids, right? So they would ride their bikes up there, and every single day, whether it be twice a day, once a day, whatever, they would be up there in their little uniforms with their bikes, or I would be up there, or we would all be up there with the neighborhood kids getting drinks, whatever, because the school was in, passing. So we did that, and one day, I don't know to this day who this lady was. I don't know if she knew me, if she was one of the cashiers that would converse with me or what. I never got to see her because I wasn't in there. My daughter went in the bathroom when she had my son. At the time, he was 7. She had him in there, and she was just she didn't tell me that she left him by the door. She ran in the bathroom. I guess it was an emergency, so she just made a last minute decision. And I was like, had I known that, I wouldn't have let it happen. But I got to be more careful as a parent. Okay, so never mind. That happened, and then my son later came to me and was just like, Journey left me in the store, and I was scared. She left me by myself, and I was like, "Where'd she go?" And he explained she went to the bathroom or whatever. But this is the part that really bothered me. Lady came up to him and said, um, "Make sure you don't steal." And that bothered me so much because, for one, I don't teach my kids to do none of that. We always had money. They always had their allowance money, or if they didn't have allowance money, they got money from me. They don't, if you're not going in the store to buy anything, you're not in the store. You don't have no reason to be in the store. Even to the point where I used to make them leave their backpacks in the car, or when they would just go straight from school, I'll make them put their backpacks on their bikes because nobody gonna follow my kids around the store. So that happened. And then I was just like, so I called up to the store, and the manager was just so adamant on, oh, none of my employees on that type of stuff. You don't know them personally, they're your employees, but okay. Your best friends didn't do that, and oh, he can come up and get some free. We don't need to get freebies. I'm not asking for a freebie. We come up there with our money and spend it all the time. So that's not what this is about. You need to talk to your coworkers, your employees, and tell them not to, say certain things. Make sure you don't steal just because you see a little brown boy. Maybe you should have asked, hey, where's your parents? Are you scared? What's going on? Why are you standing here by yourself, little boy? Because I can assure you, if he was a blue eye, brown, blonde hair or whatever, the conversation went a little different, and nobody can tell me nothing different. Because I've been around, and I've worked with kids. I've worked in the child care field for years, and I see the difference in how certain kids get treated. So nobody can tell me anything about that. And I didn't even try to mention this to get aggravated again, but I just felt like that lady should have learned the lesson that day. Like, don't assume that just because you see a colored skin that somebody steals. And that bothered me so bad because we're not that type of people. My kids never stole anything. And I covered that in the blood of Yeshua. They never will. They never have to, because me and their father provided. And even if we didn't, we don't teach them to go and take nothing that don't belong to them. So that's one thing I would like to leave with anybody that's watching this. Don't judge people by the color of their skin. And I hate that it's still going on in 2025, but that's just what it is. And then the other thing I want to say is pray over your families like never before, because witchcraft and all kind of evil stuff is running rapid. And I'm going to get off here because I got to go. Y'all be blessed. Yahshua is coming soon. And like I said, if I wasn't just waking up, I would have been able to do this better. Articulate better and everything else, but you got what you got, and just take the rest of the Lord. See you later.